In today's video, I'll be giving you my honest thoughts and review of this, the Theragun Pro model after 3 months of use, and I'll be telling you why I think it might be an excellent recovery tool for almost any athlete. Hello everyone, welcome back to the video. I'm Josh, and on this channel we talk everything triathlon and just training in general. If any of that sounds interesting to you, please consider hitting that subscribe button down below, as we do lots of other product reviews and general training tips videos. So like I said, today we're going to be reviewing this. This is the Theragun Pro. This is their top end therapeutic massage gun. I'll be breaking down the build and exactly the differences between this and the other models. The way this works with the app, which is actually a massive part of using this day to day. The impact that I found on my recovery, and finally, would I recommend this to other athletes or triathletes? So before we begin my thoughts, I just want to say that I was not sent this. I bought this with my own money. No one's paying me to make this video, and no one gets to see this video before you do on YouTube. Now we've got the disclaimers out of the way, let's jump straight into the video by talking about the actual build and what's different between this one and the less expensive models from Theragun. So like I said, this one is the Pro model. This is the top of the line, all the bells and whistles model from Theragun. It comes with the most amount of force. I think it's 60 pounds of force without stalling, compared to 50 pounds of force on the Elite model and 40 pounds of non-stalling force on the Prime model. The Prime being the cheapest, the Elite being the middle, and the Pro one, this one here, being the most expensive. This one's also claimed to have the quietest motor out of all of them, and I can tell you that it's pretty great. It's about as loud as a hairdryer, maybe slightly quiet, and I think that's pretty good overall for how much force this thing actually can do. This one has an OLED screen right here, as well as the Elite one having that. However, that's different from the Prime model, which doesn't have that. It simply has LED lights to indicate how much force you're using, whereas this one has a little OLED screen, here for force. One of the biggest differences between this model and the other two, it's the only one with a rotating arm, so there's a little button just here that you can press, and you can move the arm like this to be able to put it in different positions. I can say this is sometimes useful, although I haven't found it being necessary for a lot of the things that I use the gun for regularly. One of the biggest differences between this model and the other ones, I have to imagine, is the batteries. So this one comes with 2 rechargeable batteries you can take out, plug in while using the other one, whereas the other 2 models have built-in batteries. Now, each one of these batteries for the Pro model lasts 150 minutes or 2.5 hours, so that's up to 3 hours of use from this gun without having to recharge a single battery, whereas the other 2 have batteries that only last 2 hours, and that's 1 built-in battery. So this one has a significantly larger amount of battery use. This one also has the capability to do wireless charging, although that's another £80, and I just haven't paid for that because the gun by itself is expensive enough. The Pro model comes with all 6 Theragun attachments, although I only find myself using 2 or 3 regularly, although I'm sure maybe with more time and more experimenting I can find use for some of the other more obscure attachments. This thing is quite heavy with the battery. It's about 1.3 to 1.4 kgs. It's quite heavy, it's very sturdy in its build, but it's very usable. Being able to grip it with 2 hands quite easily in many different ways makes it very easy to use, even if it's quite a hefty piece of kit. Full retail, this gun is around £600 in the UK, which is phenomenally expensive. But it is built to last, and the amount of force that this thing can put out can genuinely be quite jarring to start, but after a little while I really found myself getting more used to it, and I was able to use it more and more frequently and more easily. The next thing that I want to talk about is the phone app. Now this might be one of the best things about the Theragun. I know it's a little bit weird, but it makes it so much more usable, especially when you first start. It's got warm-up and recovery routines for loads of different sports. You just hit it and it tells you which attachment you use on which muscle groups with what amount of force, for how long, the speed. All of these things are designed in with the app that you get when you get the Theragun to make it significantly easier to use and to make sure that you're taking full advantage of all the things it has to offer. You can also choose to target any specific muscles or muscle groups, and it will once again tell you all the things you need to know about using the Theragun on that area. There are also some wellness routines, such as getting to sleep, waking up, talking about your neck if you sit at a computer quite often. And I haven't experimented with a lot of these, but if it's something that you do alongside your normal training, that might be very useful for you. So on to the penultimate part of the video, where I'm going to tell you how much impact I think this Theragun has had on my training, my recovery, and just my life in general. So I've been using the Theragun for about 3 months now, pretty much every day, at least once a day. That's mainly either immediately before or immediately after training. However, I have been using it just before I go to bed sometimes if I'm feeling especially fatigued, or just to work out any aches and pains in a specific part. I've been having quite a lot of problems with my IT band, so that's something that I've really been working on over the past few months with this device. It's obviously very difficult to say how much is due directly to this device and how much is due to taking some time off over Christmas, generally adapting better to training as I do more and more, as I build up, or 100 different things. It could be the food I'm eating, who knows. But I do have to say, since using this device, I do feel significantly fresher day to day. I'm finding that I have less aches and pains before and after starting training sessions, especially in my quads, in my hamstrings, which are real problem areas for lots of runners and cyclists, which is what I'm doing at the moment while pools are closed. I've also, as I said, been spending a lot of time working on my IT band, and in my opinion, it's the loosest and least problematic it's ever been. I've had a chronically tight IT band, which has given me knee problems, it's given me hip problems, but both of those are significantly less impactful on my training at the moment. And I think part of that is due down to having a much looser IT band, which I've never been able to achieve through stretching alone without the use of this device. I also find it really helps to get me ready for sessions. If I Theragun my feet and my legs before doing a run, everything just seems to work a little bit better right from the start. There's less of a warming up period where my legs take time to get going. I'm just straight into it, having a great run every single time, which is a really nice change, especially when you're trying to do other things. Making sure that the time that you spend exercising is all high quality is really impactful. Now, I'll admit, it hasn't totally revolutionised my training, and I'm pretty sure I could do all of the training and all of the life things that I'm doing without having the Theragun. But I think it makes everything just that bit easier. It makes me better right at the start, it makes me recover better, it makes me feel slightly fresher throughout the day, doing other things, especially things that are physical, like cleaning or moving out of a flat or whatever it is. All of those things feel a lot better. I have to say, it's the best recovery tool I've ever tried. I have tried foam rollers, I've tried like little lacrosse balls to work in my shoulders and on my glutes. None of those quite compare to how well this works. It just does a great job. It's easy to use, it's really well built, it's effective, and I think it works. Obviously, everyone's going to have a little bit of a different response to it, but for me, this has worked and actually made a massive difference just day to day in both my life and my training. And finally, would I recommend this? I think it's really difficult to recommend something that is this expensive. Something that is as expensive as the Theragun Pro model, which retails in the UK for almost £600, is a really big ask for the vast majority of people. And I'm incredibly privileged to have this device and not have to ask a manufacturer to send it to me. So it seems silly for me to be genuinely recommending this to the vast majority of people. I think if money is a constraining factor, which obviously it's going to be for the vast majority of people with something this expensive, which is quite a niche thing, if you have the money for one of the lesser models and that's an easier sell, then I think you would gain a lot of the benefits from this model that I've talked about in this video from either the Prime or the Elite, which are significantly less expensive. The Prime one being less than half as expensive as this one, I think. So, you know, you get all of the benefits, it's just you won't get as many of the quality of life improvements that we get with this version. However, if you can afford the upgrade, and money is no question to you, the upgrades that you get with the Pro model, I think, are probably worth the extra if it's something you're going to be using 2-3 times a day sometimes. Just having the extra battery to mean that you can always use it, that you can charge while using it, is actually incredible. I didn't think it would make that much of a difference, but the number of times that I've had one battery flat and been using the second battery while charging the second one is absolutely insane. It's probably the majority of the time I'm doing that. And obviously, if you're more organized, you might not need a second battery, but for me, it made a humongous difference. It's the biggest change for this model. So, you know, if money is no constraint and you're a little bit forgetful and you need that specific quality of life change, this might be a worthwhile upgrade for you. And like I said, this is one of the best recovery tools I've ever used. If you're looking for something to help with recovery and lessen the physical strain of exercising 2 times a day or sometimes 3 times a day, especially when you're looking at sports like triathlon, where the training load is incredibly high some weeks, this will make a difference. I'm pretty confident in saying that. Obviously, everyone will have their own response, but I know for me, it's made a massive difference. So this is something that I would try in any of the models if you have the means to get hold of one. So it's a big thumbs up from me on the Theragun Pro model, and basically all of the Theraguns, because they really do the same thing with some quality of life benefits. That's it for this video. If you like running, triathlon, or any kind of sports content, please consider subscribing to the channel. I make lots of training tip videos and product reviews, just like the one that we watched. If you want to watch some of my other videos, I've got a product review where we look at one of my favorite new running shoes, the Saucony Endorphin Pro. That's on screen now, as well as my link to my training recovery tips on the other side. Thank you all for watching.